Best of r/Choosing Beggars episode 43. Backstory. This happened when I was studying at a university and living with my parents. Our village is located roughly an hour drive from a big city where most of our neighborhood work, including my mom, her nice friend in the IT department and the choosing beggar, all employed by the same firm. There is a train to the city and the neighboring village, but it's half an hour walk, so my mother would generally drive to work and I'd tag along whenever our schedules allowed it. Around 2 months before the story takes place, the CB realized she could ride to work and back home with my mom, and my mother, being a generous person, she has agreed to that, demanding no payment as it wasn't any major inconvenience for her and she was aware the CB was doing low salary job and had young kids at home. The nice IT friend, let's call her Anne, who was always taking a train home, asked my mother a few days beforehand if she and her daughter could ride home with her on Friday, as her daughter was going to be released from just a routine checkup at the hospital in the city. She also offered to take an early leave so that they'd be ready by the car, but my mom said they'd just go to the hospital together as it's only 10 minutes detour. Come Friday, and surprisingly I finish my classes early and message my mom if I can tag along. My mom says yes, but at the same time explains quickly and situation and that the car will be packed. No problem for me. 5 minutes to 5 I arrive at the parking and see the CB waiting already. This woman must never work till the end of the shift. She sees me and gets visibly annoyed, saying something along the lines of, "Oh, and now this car is going to become a public bus for annoying teenagers." I was in my 20s and rather quiet in the car. I pretend I heard nothing and just wait patiently. 10 minutes later my mom arrives with Anne and we drive towards the hospital. The checkout must have been busy as we wait for about 20 minutes, but it's fine with me and mom as it's a special situation. However, the CB rants about waiting all the time, much to our annoyance. Anne finally shows and we quickly realize that it was by no means just a checkup. Anne's daughter looks very frail and thin, face white, bald head covered with a scarf, barely holding up, clearly just released from chemotherapy. I immediately get off the front seat and go out to grab the daughter's luggage for Anne to place in the trunk and let her take the front, as I don't feel comfortable having her crammed up on the back. CB is rather a large woman, not like that's anything bad, but there was hardly any room on the back with her and Anne in my mom's city car. Anne quietly thanks me and we rode back home, in relative silence as the daughter fell asleep immediately. We go to Anne's home first, just on the way, and they start leaving quickly. Anne's daughter throws up a moment she wakes up, getting some puke on the car, and quickly starts apologizing. We say we don't mind. And there it starts. Anne takes out her wallet and gets a bill that had exchanged for around $60 and insists on paying my mom for both the ride and cleaning the car, which my mom quickly declines. However, at the same moment the CB reaches for the money. For a moment everything is silent and then the conversation goes like this. CB, I'll be taking it, thanks. Me, on what grounds? CB, well, we had to take this huge detour and I'll be like 40 minutes late at home. Me, well, you would be even later had you taken the train. It's none of your concern. CB, I don't take any trains home. I always ride this car and I'm not just being late. This car has been ruined by Anne's daughter. Me, it's not even your car. And we don't mind. CB, I take it every day so it's mine as well. Me, BS. It's my mom's car and she decides what to do with it. CB, anyways, daughter puked here in my close proximity. I'm surely entitled to some damages. Anne, no, it's right. I'm so sorry. She grabs the $60, puts it in my mother's handbag and proceeds to take another banknote, around $25, and hands it to CB, who quickly pockets the money. Me, heck, Anne, you shouldn't have given her a thing. She takes a ride with my mom daily and pays us nothing. Anne, oh, I thought she's paying for the fuel. Me, as she should have. CB, it doesn't matter. I take this car every day and now I'm covered in some sick girl's vomit. What if my kids catch what she's sick with? Puke got nowhere near her. Daughter shouts in very rasp voice, I have a brain tumor, it's not contagious. That somehow managed to shut the CB up. My mom got out, took the daughter's luggage and walked Anne and her daughter home, slipping the banknote she was given to their mailbox on her way back. She says nothing and drives straight to CB's home. She'd normally leave her at the crossroad nearby, and speaks for the first time in a while. I was driving you because it wasn't inconvenient for me, but it just became a large inconvenience. This partnership is done. I don't care if you take the train from now on, get your own car, or just quit your job. I will not be driving you anywhere unless you or your kids are dying. The $25 you were given for no reason should be enough for a week's worth of train tickets anyways, so enjoy. This car is mine and mine only, so get out now. After that I hardly saw the CB at all. Hopefully she's never coming back into picture, and my mom drives to work with Ann now, who, even if nobody asks her to, pays for the fuel. Ann's daughter is in remission now, so she's doing much better if you're curious. Have a good day y'all. Sorry for the long post, I just had to tell the story to more people. And sorry if the English is not perfect, I'm not a native speaker. Thank you. Next. This happened a few years ago. I just photographed a home for an agent I'd worked with a couple of times before and who'd always jokingly, I thought, complained about what I charged. At the time I was actually cheaper than most other photographers around here, mainly due to relocation and not knowing this market as well. So I tell her what to write the check for and she says, that's too much, and writes me a check for 50% of what I just told her. I said that wasn't enough and she said, that's what other photographer would charge, and I knew that was patently false. So I went home and processed the pictures, and in the middle of every picture I put a black box that covered exactly 50% of the picture. Then I sent them to her. What's wrong with these pictures? You paid 50%. You get 50%. She PayPal'd me the other 50%. Haven't heard from her since. Weird, thank you. Next. This happened a few years back when I worked as a server at a restaurant. There was this older couple that would come in every weekend. They ordered a small Greek salad with extra tomatoes and extra cucumbers. We don't charge extra for adding in an extra topping or two. No big deal. I brought it out with 2 sharing plates and a basket of bread. Then they asked, can we also get extra onions? And extra lettuce? Oh, and some extra olives too? Annoying, but okay. So I got a plate and slapped on some extra fixings from the food prep guys in the back. They then complained that it wasn't extra enough. They did that a few more times until my boss finally had enough of it and told the entire staff extra toppings are now $1 each. If they ask for extras of every topping again, just give them a large salad instead. Mind you, the small salad was $10 and the large was $12.50. The large salad was only $2.50 more and you got more than double the portion of the small. So as expected, they came in again the following weekend and spit out the usual order. Small Greek salad with extra tomatoes, extra cucumbers, extra onions, extra olives, and extra lettuce. I said I'm sorry, I can't do that. If you want extra of everything, you will just have to order the large size. They protested with me and I said you're essentially doubling the size of the salad, which is what the large is. So if you want extras of everything, you will have to get the large. They asked to speak to my manager. I gladly obliged and sent him over. It was so satisfying to watch my boss tell them that what they're asking for is basically a large salad, so they will be charged as such. They kept arguing with my boss, so my boss loudly said for the entire restaurant to hear, you're really being that cheap, over $2.50? Do you think the ingredients are free for me to buy? So I went back to take their order and they said okay fine, we'll just get a small Greek salad but only with extra tomatoes and extra cucumbers. They assumed that the 1 or 2 extra toppings would still be free, but nope, not anymore. They ruined it for everyone else. So then I told them that each additional topping was $1 extra, so they might as well spend 50 cents more and just get a large salad. They never came back again. Bye bye. Waving hand with medium light skin tone. Thank you. Next. Okay, this is my first post here, so bare face with me. My younger sister recently began selling Girl Scout cookies and it was going fine. She was getting orders then delivering the cookies after she got orders. This was going fine until one day we get a CB, so CB orders a large amount of cookie, around 24 boxes, near $100, and so my sister was super excited as it was a large order. We spend about 15 minutes preparing the order. Now fast forward a day and it's time to deliver, so we load the cookies up and head to an agreed meeting location, rather far away. Once we get there everything is going fine until CB decides to pull the "I only brought 50, but since the cookies are here you might as well sell them now." I was annoyed, but assumed it was a joke. I kinda chuckled, and then said, "Well, since you only have $50 you can get the cookies, that pays for." She then says I'm being rude and that my sister should sell all of the cookies to her for that because the cookies weren't delivered to her home. I quickly told the woman have a good day, and then ignored everything she said, and then loaded up my sister and the cookies and we left. Welp, hope it fits here. Thank you. Next. Happened to my father, many years ago. So my father owned his own company, civil engineer, for 30 years and used to do work with this cheap ass builder. Every time this guy called my father would have to negotiate and end up charging the guy 10-year-old rates. And then inevitably, once the job was done this shat would show up at the office bitching and whining about how much the job costs. And my father would give him yet another discount. This nonsense went on for years because the guy kept showing up with new jobs because he knew that he could wear my father down and take advantage of his kindness. As you can probably guess, my father is a good man and a very patient man, and very good at his job. Well, one day, this guy just pushed it too far. They just finished up another huge job and the builder predictably shows up to whine about his final bill to try to get to discount. He shows up the office and says, "Hey Dave, not my father's real name, I got to talk to you about this invoice but I want to show my baby first." So my father goes outside and sees a show ready, mint condition 1963 Jaguar. The guy's gushing over the car talking about how much money he spent restoring it. Kept calling it his baby. Then he starts talking about how much money he spent on his garage to keep his baby safe. Well, after he gets done showing off his baby he then turns to my father and starts yelling at him about how much the final invoice is. That was pretty much it. My father had enough. My father told him that the invoice is final and that he didn't want to work with him anymore. Told him good luck getting work from anyone else for my current rates, let alone the generous discounts he gives him on every job. 2 days later the guy calls begging my father to do another job for him. Dad basically told him to fuck off. Never more proud. Thank you. Next. So, over the weekend my job was having a giveaway for $50,000 and my boss, a few customers, and I were having a conversation about what we would do with the money and we came upon the topic of cars. CB, so did you just completely disregard that you have to pay for taxes and everything? Yeah, you got $50,000 but now you have to, what? Take out a loan just to pay for the rest? Me, what kind of car were you looking at? There are a lot of cars that you can buy with $50,000. He then looks at me with this look like, yeah, bullshit, and I'll be honest, for a second there he really made me doubt myself, because this guy was just staring at me like I said 2 and 2 is 7. Me, well, I can say personally that the car I really want is around like $30,000 brand new, so $50,000 could easily cover that including Tay. He cut me off, shouting, "CB, my car is $75,000 not including anything, and what would that do for me? I would have to take out a loan for at least $30,000 just to be able to drive off the lot. Yeah, here's $50,000 and some debt, thanks." Me, I'm just saying that those who don't have quite the refined taste in cars like myself would be able to find something reasonable with money left over, especially like a single mom or a college student, someone who just needs a car. And if we're talking brand new, I'm pretty sure there's some out there that go for like $20,000. The whole time while I was speaking he was just giving me this dirty look like I was stupid, and at the end, he rolled his eyes, threw his arms up like this is bullshit and walked away. I'm sure there was more to it but I took my sweet time posting this and now I can't remember verbatim. Either way, I'm very happy to announce that CB did, in fact, not win the $50,000. I wouldn't want him to go in debt after all. Thank you. Next. This happened years ago. For some background, this happened in the summer and where I live it gets hot, up to 114 degrees. This man was standing on the corner by a grocery store in our town around lunchtime in the middle of July with his dog. It was hot and his poor German shepherd looked miserable and hot. The man had a sign saying something like "homeless anything helps." So my friends and I go into the store and get 2 gallons of water for him and his pup, some granola bars, some jerky and a small bag of dog food for his pup. We even got a little bowl so he could feed his dog or give him water. We take it out to him and he says thanks but I'd rather have cash. We didn't know what to say. We were all 17-18 years old and thought we were doing something nice and helpful. So we walk away and are annoyed, but we helped someone and their dog, so still felt good about it, I guess. The next day, I'm out and about town with my mom doing errands and we stop at a stoplight 2 blocks from the grocery store where my friends and I had helped the guy and his dog. I see the guy and his dog walk across the street, get into a red sports car, put the top down and cruise away without a care in the world. He was a fraud and only wanted cash because he wasn't truly homeless or in need. Fuck that guy.